Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mighty Oak Show. Thank you for joining us today. Looking forward to a great conversation. My name is Jeremy Stolnicker and I am here with the president and founder of the Mighty Oaks Foundation, Chad Robichaux. And looking forward to this conversation. About this time every year, we kind of do a wrap-up conversation about the work that we've been involved in over the previous several months in the work with veterans and active duty service members and their families. And today's the day we're going to do that. So, man, we've had a crazy year, as you know, and it's really impacted even our community. But we have an event coming up we want to tell you about first, because I know a lot of you won't listen to the whole show. So we're going to talk about it right now. So you've heard it, and you can go buy tickets. But Chad, we have our annual gala coming up in really about a week.
Yes, despite COVID restrictions and all the chaos going on, and the doubt people had, we are having our 10th annual. So celebrating 10 years of Mighty Oaks Foundation and amazing work that we do for our warriors and our spouses and even the veteran, even the first responder community. We're going to celebrate, and we're going to hopefully raise a lot of money to push us into 2021 with just good funding to be able to support the warriors that are in need. Because look, while the COVID things hit everyone, especially nonprofits, and there's been a dent in giving. God's really blessed us, and our donors are amazing, so we hadn't got hit that hard. But we have had about a 10% hit in giving. But what hasn't took a hit is the demand for the programs.
Right.
And so there's warriors more than ever need this gala. They need us to be able to raise the funds to put them through the program. And so we're pushing for it. We're going to have it. Senator Ted Cruz is our keynote speaker. I'll be speaking. You'll be speaking. Congressman Brady will be there giving the invocation. Republican chairman of Texas, our friend Alan West, will be there auctioning off his motorcycle that he crashed on. And so we had just lots of great guests to be there. I think we already have about 350 people attending. So maybe we'll sell another 350 tickets if you're listening and go and buy a ticket, and we could have about almost 700 people like we had last year. And just have a great night, a great event. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't, I don't think the event is require it. But please get online and get your tickets. The Woodlands Waterway Marriott is where we're going to be hosting it again, and that's where we host it every year. We've been hosting it every year, and it's October 10th. So we even have people flying from out of state. So if you want to travel from out of state and come, it's a great reason to come visit Texas. Besides the barbecue.
Besides the barbecue. I was talking to somebody this week and kind of going through the travails of this year for Mighty Oaks. We've been trying to have programs, and some locations shut down, other locations opened up, thankfully, and all of that. And I was asked the question, have your expenses gone down this year? Because it seems like they would, since you didn't do as many programs and social distancing and the rest of it. What's crazy is in the beginning of the year when everything shut down, that would have been true. But trying to make up, because we have so many applications and so many folks waiting to get into programs, we have done programs in several locations this year where we don't typically. And what that means for us is kind of on a bottom line is it costs a lot more money. We're paying for things we don't normally pay for and investing in that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I say that just to say, as we go into 2021, we have so many folks that need to have programs. We've spent a lot of money this year just trying to maintain and get as many folks as possible through the programs. So we need a good fundraising event. Yeah, we need a good fundraising event getting into 2021. We're going to have a big year.
If you can't make it, guys, we need the support this year. And this is the time where we shamelessly just ask for support.
Right.
If you can't make it, please, make it up in your end of year giving to Mighty Oaks. A lot of people give at the end of the year. It's the time of the year that we really count on, and not only we count on, but the warriors who are in desperate need count on. And you can just, if you want tickets, you want more information, go to mightyoaksprograms.org, and right there on the homepage, at the bottom of the homepage, you can get information to get to the gala.
Yeah.
And speaking about like the needs, we need your support because the need is great. And while so many things are upside down in our country with COVID, one of the areas that has been impacted dramatically is the veterans issues that we tackle at Mighty Oaks: suicide, PTSD, divorce, all these things, or I mean, if you took military mental health and that was already bad as it is, and you threw gasoline on it on that fire, that's what COVID did. I mean, the suicide rate. There's been multiple reports that came out this week. The active duty suicide rate is up 20% on active duty, 20%, and the U.S. mental health hotline is up 1,000%. So, veterans, military people around the country, or mental health is a big issue. Isolation is never the solution to mental health. I mean, one of our slogans at Mighty Oaks is never fight alone. You can't do this alone. And now we're telling people to isolate. We're telling our veterans to isolate. 20% up in the active duty suicide rate. And we have no idea what the veteran suicide rate has increased. I just know from being in the world of veteran suicide, I know I'm hearing a lot more veteran suicides. And we don't know what the number is, but I can tell you it's going up. It's not good. But the good news is always that we have the solution. We believe at Mighty Oaks that Christ is the solution. If you can align your life with the life you were created to live, you're gonna be able to move forward. You're gonna come through this. And we're gonna continue to broadcast that message. I was just one of the articles that came out today was a sergeant major was killed at 82nd Airborne. He killed himself at 82nd Airborne, and that command is just suffering with active duty suicides. And so one of the first things he did, got on the phone and said, "Hey, we want to come to the command." And so we're going to be working with the command to get out there and get a message of hope in front of those warriors and let them know there's a solution. And so we need your help at this end of the year to close out the year and make sure that we have all the resources that we have to where we never have to tell a warrior no, that they can't come, that we're able to get in front of the warriors at the commands and then help them get to the legacy programs to get back moving forward.
We've been talking about the potential problems since I think March, when we started looking at the lockdowns and all the quarantine stuff. Going into April, we talked about this a lot. I wrote about it on my blog. USA Today, I think it was, and ABC News both put out articles talking about those mental health call numbers that you were talking about. And then this week, it was all kind of validated that is indeed the case. You mentioned 20% in the military. The Army's saying 30%. The Air Force, they are at the same rate of suicide for active duty service members or members of the Air Force right now as they were last year. But last year was the worst year for suicide in the Air Force in 30 years. First 3 months of this year, the suicide rate across the military was down. So a lot of the measures that the VA and others have put in place have started to work, started to get some ground. The numbers were coming down across the military. And then coincidentally, as the lockdowns began, the quarantine measures began, so much of that has changed, and now we're looking at a crisis on top of a crisis. Again, I was asked today, why is it that the active duty military is struggling so much with the lockdowns and the quarantines? Can you talk about that a little bit? Because that's something I think that's often overlooked. People think, well, they're just doing what they normally do. But now a 6-month deployment is a 7-month deployment. And talk about some of those measures that the military's put in place.
Well, the military's, military is a government institution, and they tend to take things very seriously. And a lot of times in military readiness and training and just safety measures, the military often does big overkill. And I'm not speaking ill of the military at all. Obviously, we at Mighty Oaks love the military, but we also recognize from our experience in the military how the military can overdo things. And so, I mean, they're locking people down on bases. They're not allowed to leave sometimes. Like a lot of the training. I mean, my youngest son, Hayden, he's checking in at Marine Corps boot camp today. I don't know when the show's going to air, but today he's checking in at Marine Corps boot camp. And before he starts training, he's going to be sitting in a hotel room for 2 weeks. Him and every other recruit that goes to Marine Corps boot camp, they're going to sit in a hotel room in quarantine for 2 weeks. People bring them lunch so they can't leave their room for 2 weeks, and they watch DVDs on history and things like that. And they, with their new roommate that they never met before, they're going to work out and get ready for boot camp. So, and after that 2 weeks, then they're going to go in and be wearing them, and they're going to wear a mask every waking hour of every day, going to have a mask over their face. And that's just in Marine Corps recruit training and boot camp, and you get to the active duty units, and a lot has changed. I mean, they went from not everybody's training the way they trained before. A lot of the training has been pushed to virtual training and not being in person and face-to-face contact. Some jobs that would be just like in the civilian world where they say things are non-essential. If they're not essential, which I think every job is essential, but if they're not essential, deemed not essential, then they're going to work virtually.
Yeah.
And I think we know from the work that we do at Mighty Oaks that there is a created by creation, by design, the way God created and designed us, a need for community in the human soul. And when you take that relationship piece, that culture, that family, that ability to be with one another on a daily basis, you take that away, and it's just not natural, and it brings depression on. And so you're already struggling with depression and hopelessness and anxiety, and then you take away that community. It could put you in a really dark place.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we're trying to deal with and have been, as many of our locations in April, no one knew what was going on. So the places that we partner with to house our programs shut down. And, if you follow this show, you know this, but we pay not only for the program, but we pay for the travel to get to the program. And one of the ways we're able to do that is because our partners, those who provide the locations, provide that free of charge to us. And so we're able then to run a program without charging those who attend. Well, those locations shut down on us in April, and so we tried to do a virtual program, and we did, as Chad mentioned, and had some success there. One of our very first students through the virtual program, on the other side of it, after a week of doing that, said, I would have taken my life if I had not had the opportunity to come to this virtual program. And then we were able to have him come to an in-person program later on. So we continue to do the work, and man, it's so important. But again, because of the challenges, we're going into next year a little bit behind, but leaning in as much as we possibly can. And we're looking forward to a good 2021, whatever the next year is.
It's super easy to look at all the negative, because this has been a negative year. I mean, let's just be honest. It has not been the best of years. But they have a meme going around? Is my mom's offer to slap me in the next week still available? So I move forward and get past it.
Right.
But while it's been a negative year at Mighty Oaks, we've had a lot of incredible things happen in spite of it. I mean, COVID pushed us to make a virtual program, which is needed. Sometimes even outside of COVID, we have people that can't come to a Mighty Oaks program, and so now we have a virtual program available should we need to do one. We developed more partners. We got a new partner ranch in Montana because of the Freedom Ranch. So we have, and I'm not saying it's going to be a fifth location for Mighty Oaks, but
so everyone that's getting ready to email and say, I want to go to Montana, don't do it. They've helped us out. We're thankful for it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, our partners at Freedom America Ranch in Wise River, Montana, just incredible people allowed us to use their ranch for programs. So we've and then we really forged partnerships and not just an organic way, but we actually forged some partnerships in an official way. Earlier in the year, around the beginning of the year, I had a request from some of the advocacy work that I was doing in Washington, D.C. I had a request from the White House and from some friends in D.C. to bring a loose coalition together of like-minded veteran, faith-based veteran service organizations. And so we did that in partnership with the White House as a White House initiative, and then we actually made it official. So it's called the FBVSA, the Faith-Based Veteran Service Alliance, and we have 8 charter members, and it's going to be opened up to other faith-based veteran service organizations. If you don't know, we have 43,000 veteran service organizations in America. Those are nonprofits, and unfortunately, only a little over 1% of those, I'm told, are faith-based. So, nonetheless, we're going to start pulling them all together, trying to pull them all together under the FBVSA to work in partnership to make sure when a veteran comes to a place like the FBVSA, they can have programs that are vetted, collaborating with other programs to make sure that we can do a holistic approach to helping veterans. Not everything that veterans need is done at Mighty Oaks. I mean, there's lots of other needs that veterans have that Mighty Oaks does not do.
Right.
There's other organizations that don't do what Mighty Oaks does. And so we want to come together in a non-competitive partnership to be able to do what we're called to do, and that's serve our warriors, give them the best care that they deserve moving forward, and give them the right solutions to their problems. And when it comes to PTSD and combat trauma, divorce, suicide, we believe those things are a spiritual wound, and they require a spiritual solution, and that's what we offer at Mighty Oaks. But sometimes guys' bodies are broken up, their medicines are off, they need other things, and there's great organizations that do that. And so we're partnering all together at the FBVSA to do that. Some of our long-term partners like Reboot or came on board as a charter organization, do that. They partner with us in our aftercare. So just Warriors Journey, we partnered with them with tremendous amount of outreach. So many great organizations coming together. And one of the things that in advocacy work that we do in DC is when I go to congressmen and senators and the president's staff at the White House, and I say, hey, I have this issue, this bill I want passed, or this policy I want changed. And I say, this is just me. I'm Chad. I represent veterans and I want this policy changed. They don't take me very seriously. My wife and my kids don't always take me very seriously, but the White House doesn't either. They want to know, who really wants this, and the currency, if you will, the currency of political people, whether they mean well or not, the currency is constituents.
Right.
They want to be able to,
right.
They need to stay in office. They need votes. And so at the FBVSA, with all of the 8 charter organizations that we have come together, it's a crazy number. We have reached about 6 million people. And so we come together as one voice, and I go there now and I go and say, hey, we want this policy changed. And we're asking for this policy change on behalf of about 6 million Americans. They take that a little more seriously and listen. And so we've got a tremendous amount done. I can tell you right now, we're not having to push the White House because we have a president and commander in chief that loves our warriors and wants our warriors to get the best care they deserve. Came in guns blazing from campaign promises to change the VA and did. The president has out of all the government entities, he said he wouldn't raise the budgets on any. He kept that promise except in 2 areas, in the DoD and VA. He raised the budget in the VA. Got the Whistleblower Act, and we got 10,000 bad employees in the VA now fired. Got the highest VA budget ever approved, and then he rolled out Prevents, which is the president's roadmap to empower veterans and end the national tragedy of veteran suicide. This is all things that we've been asking for as a faith-based organizations, because in the Prevents bill that the president signed, in the Prevents initiative, faith-based solutions are included in that. And one of the things that I really had worked on and really wanted to see the president do, and actually asked him during the campaign time, is if he would overturn the executive order that President Obama had signed to get rid of the faith-based programs within the VA. And the president did sign an executive order, overturn that. So in Prevents, we're allowed to bring faith-based solutions to the DoD and the VA. Now, it's great when a president does something like that, but implementation is very important. Yeah. And so one of the things that we got to do is work on implementing those things in the DoD and the VA. And myself and Damon Friedman from SOF Missions have been given the opportunity to advise the Secretary Wilkie of the VA and Deputy Secretary Pam Powers, that's who we're working directly with, Deputy Secretary Pam Powers of the VA, and help usher in those faith-based solutions into the VA. And so we're having some tests being done for evidence-based testing. Mighty Oaks is going to be the first ever in history of that's going to have evidence-based testing of a program like Mighty Oaks to be brought and recognized as a VA as evidence-based. And we're doing that not just as Mighty Oaks, but on behalf of the faith-based veteran service community through the FBVSA. And we're actually doing that in partnership with Duke University and Dr. Koenig, who's just very respected, and the VA will actually listen to his study. And so we're just doing some incredible things, and moving forward, we really believe, if you've heard me talk and followed me for a long time, you've heard me bash the VA as a skeptic of the VA, but the VA approval rating is up amongst the veteran community, and in truth is up 60% right now. Yeah. And so the VA is doing a pretty good job. Veterans seem to be a lot more happy. Turnaround times or went from years to get approved for certain things in the VA to weeks that people are getting, benefits approved in weeks. They're getting appointments right away. And they're just they're doing a lot better job, but it's still a lot further to go. And I'm just thankful that we have a seat at the table as faith-based organizations to influence what's going to happen in the VA moving forward, and the DoD. And so some really, really exciting things there. One of the last things I want to mention that we got to do was work a bipartisan Senate bill, SB 785, which a Democratic senator out of Montana, John Tester, wrote this bill. And we looked at the bill and we said, man, this is a great bill. It's for funding veteran service organizations to come along, assist alongside the VA and assist them in serving our warriors. And it was written for over $1 billion at the time. But we asked if we could come in and give some different language changes that would make sure that faith-based solutions were not excluded. And one of the things I said is, if you let me participate in this, write some language, then we'll not only get behind you, but we'll try to talk to some of our friends on the Republican side of Republican Congress members and make this a bipartisan deal. This should be a win-win for everyone, for both Democrats and Republicans and the White House, and most of all, veterans. It should be everybody should be able to agree on this. And so they let us come in and make those changes. And then we made those changes, got them approved. And so faith-based programs are not excluded from it. Got some Republican support behind it. Of course, it was a Democratic bill, so the Democrats supported it on that side, and got it through Senate. It got a 13-0 vote in Senate committee, and it made it to the House floor. Got approved by committee in the House, passed the House floor, and got approved for $175 million per year for all of the 43,000 veteran service organizations that qualify. And faith-based or included in that, organizations like Mighty Oaks could get up to $750,000 a year if we qualify for those programs. And so that's a huge bill that got passed. I think this week it'll hit the president's desk for signature, and then it'll be funded in 2021. So if you want to be praying for something, pray that organizations like Mighty Oaks is able to receive funding through that bill, because that's could be huge for us, another $750,000 to serve warriors. And so that's just some of the work that we're doing outside of the programs of Mighty Oaks on the advocacy side, just making some big things happen for the veteran community, particularly to bring those faith solutions to our warriors.
Yeah, we spent some time earlier this year on the Mighty Oaks Show talking about the need for partnerships, why we think it's important to do a lot of this advocacy work. And that's one of the areas that I think is often confusing to people. Why would we do that? What's necessary? Is it just about money? And the answer is no, but money is necessary to make things happen, to run the programs and do those things. I think the organized effort around advocacy also provides cover for a lot of politicians who need cover. They believe these things. They are all for it. They just don't have the time or the resources to quantify why and what. And this really helps them get done what they would like to get done anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, they want to. I'm learning right now, as I've been involved in advocacy, as I've been in DC, I always thought, man, the smartest minds in our country collaborate in DC to serve in public office. And no offense to any of my political friends out there, not the case. Not the case. A lot of times they have a heart to serve and they want to serve our warriors. They just don't know how. They don't know what the needs are. They're so busy with so many topics. To Mighty Oaks, the most important thing in the world is veteran suicide. I mean, there's nothing that I wake up in the morning from 10 years ago when God put it on my heart to do this till now. Every morning I wake up and I feel energized and motivated to serve my brothers and sisters in the military, to make sure not another warrior takes their life, that marriages stay together, families stay together, that people aren't tormented with nightmares and panic attacks and all these things. But that's not the first thing a congressman thinks about when they wake up in the morning. I mean, it's not. I mean, it shouldn't be. They have so many things they have to worry about. And so it takes, people like us to advocacy. When you talk about advocacy, the word advocacy, it takes people like us that do wake up with that in the morning to go and advocate on behalf of the people that we care about, to the people that have the ability and power to make those changes and decisions, and say, hey, sir, ma'am, this is why this is so important. This is why I need you to pass this bill. This is why I need you to change this piece of legislation. This is why we need this policy change in the VA, because the president said he wants prevents to roll out and wants faith-based programs but there's a rule in the way, there's a policy in the way. And people say, oh, we can't do that because it's not legal. We can't do that because it's a rule. And then I'm like, let's change the rule. Let's change that rule because the president wants it to happen. We want it to happen. The veteran community needs it to happen.
Right.
So if there's a rule, let's change the rule and doing the legwork to get that done. And I can tell you, I never had any interest in doing any of this before. I want to be at the ranches with the warriors, face-to-face mentoring guys. But what I've seen is that in doing these things, making these policy changes, signing these bills, passing this legislation, we're able to reach so many more warriors, hundreds of thousands of more warriors in active duty in the veteran community. And ultimately, you said it's not about money. It's really not about money. It's about access. It's about organizations like Mighty Oaks having the most access to the warriors who we want to serve. And it's about those warriors having access to organizations like Mighty Oaks. Because back when we started this, and even still today, like I said, I love the administration, love the White House, and I think we've done a lot of good work together, but we're still not where we need to be. Those warriors on active duty and those warriors that walk into the VA need to have access to the best care that is available for them, and they need to have a choice. And that choice should be: do I want to go to mental health? Do I need to go to a physical treatment program? Do I need a spiritual program like Mighty Oaks? They should have a choice of where they want to go, and that's what we're working towards. A lot of work is left to be done, and we're going to be continue to fight for that every day for them. And this is something that, like I said, wasn't excited about, didn't know anything about, and the more I get into it, the more excited I get because I realize the impact we're having in doing it.
One of the areas that we have been involved in for since the beginning, really, was supporting our first responder community. Now, we've never had separate programs for first responders. We've just included those folks in the programs that we were already doing. There's so many similarities between the veteran and the military community and the first responder community. But a couple of years ago, we decided to have some dedicated first responders programs. So we've been able to support police and firefighters, EMTs, that community in a different way. And this year, with everything that's going on in the world, I mean, it's crazy the pressure emotional pressure, spiritual pressure, physical pressure that our first responder community is under right now. We've really had an opportunity to minister to a lot of these folks, and it's been absolutely incredible to see. Because of COVID, we had to cut out one of our first responders sessions earlier in the year, but we've been able to pick that up, and it's been amazing, and really it's been I think a blessing to our organization to be able to support these folks who are really legitimately struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's going on in the country. I mean, many veterans become policemen, and whether they've been veterans or not, they're people who serve America's American citizens.
Yeah.
And the amount of courage it takes right now to be a police officer with no appreciation.
Yeah.
You bastardizing from the media, from your city civic leaders, mayors and governors have turned on their own policemen, and they're out there doing it anyway. They're out there doing it anyway, and their hands are tied in most cases. You can't really defend yourself, and you're going to be prosecuted, or So we need our support more than ever. And so I think for Mighty Oaks, it's a way we could step up and support our law enforcement officers and our firefighters and emergency service providers to be able to just provide the same programming that we provide for the warriors.
Yeah,
available to them.
Yeah, that's an area that not everyone sees a need for, but as folks have the opportunity to support Mighty Oaks, we're able to support these folks. Here in California, where I am, the fires this year have been absolutely incredible. I mean, in terms of scope, over 3 million acres have burned in the last couple of months. And we could get into the politics of that because I believe it's happening because of mismanagement. But regardless, we have firefighters on those fires who are deployed for months at a time. And to support those men and women is really a great privilege of ours. And we've had the opportunity to do that, which is awesome. Kind of a final thing, and you said earlier, not everything has been bad this year. And it hasn't been. There's been so many good things that have happened this year. Mighty Oaks, in a lot of ways, has grown and been able to take some steps forward in areas we had not previously. I think one of the great encouragements to me, and I know to you as well, this year has been with our partners. Now, we talked about partnering on the advocacy side and all that, but I mean just people who we wouldn't say their name on a show. They don't want to be recognized, but they have stepped up in big ways. We have a lot of supporters, a lot of people who know what we do and like what we do and really do support us. And it seems like just about every conversation I have with someone like that is, hey, if we can ever do anything for you, let us know. And we called a lot of people on that offer this year. And I was blown away by how much people really are willing to step up. We've had to ask for things that we wouldn't have asked for before, whether it's access to a location, different resources. Things have changed so much that we've had to go outside of our normal network and ask for help. And so many folks have just really stepped up. And again, anonymously, we don't want anything out of this. We're thankful for what you're doing. We just want to be a part of it. It's been such an encouragement to see. So as we look toward next year, again, we're excited about all that God has done this year in spite of everything, but we are super excited about next year and getting back on track, getting as many men and women through our programs as possible. And each one of those men and women is a life that represents really a family and in many cases a community. And we're excited to be a part of that and invite you to join us and support us. Support us financially, support us through your prayers and in so many other ways that folks are able to support. And we look forward to that. Again, so much more we could say, but we'll stop here for this week. And if you are watching and have not yet subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, but then hit the notification bell. That lets you know when more content comes online. We'd love to share that with you. So much content on our channel, and we're constantly updating that. So I'd love to include you there. And appreciate you watching and listening. Thank you, and we will see you next time.